What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Babbles Nonsense podcast. I am flying solo today. Lauren and Ivy are not with me, but it's also weird being solo because I haven't done a solo podcast in a while and I don't really have an agenda. So I'm kind of just flying by the seat of my pants because it's Sunday and my podcast episodes drop on Tuesday. Not very professional of me, but anyways, y'all know how it be sometimes. So yeah, just kind of wanted to update y'all on what's kind of going on in my life. This will be a short, quick episode. Just if you have been following along on the podcast, first of all, I just want to say it's super weird to say like catch you up on my life because I'm not a celebrity. I don't go to award shows or have really that many interesting things happen to me. I wish I could talk more about what patients say to me in a day because that would be stupid, hilarious, and y'all would love it. But if you have been following along with the podcast, you know that I have recently switched jobs, from working in the emergency room for 10 years to working in an orthopedic clinic where it's a lot of spine and pain management. And that's something way out of my comfort zone because I always said that I would never work in ortho because I hate it. But I hate the part where it's like dealing with broken bones and I don't have to deal with that. So perfect. No, I just wanted something challenging and I wanted something a little less stressful out of the ER because I've done it for 10 years and that's kind of the burnout period. And I've only ever worked in a hospital where you work 12-hour shifts and I kind of wanted to try something different to see like weekends off, holidays off, normal hours. So yeah, a little bit about that experience. That happened 2 weeks ago, that transition a week and a half ago, I guess, because of the holidays. That transition happened when I came back from New York. And so obviously, if you know me, I don't like change. Which is weird because I like the ER and there's so much change that happens there. But I'm just a creature of habit. I like a regimented like timeline. Like I get up in the morning, I have my breakfast, same breakfast every day. I go to the gym on my off days and then I go grocery shopping, then I come home and cook. Like it's very regimented, which could be boring, I guess. So part of me wanted to spice it up, do something different because I am in my 30s now. I am wanting to experience new things and it's been good. I'm not going to lie. My first day, guys, went home and cried. I said, what have I done? I made a terrible mistake. I texted all my ER friends and I was like, well, you think my boss will let me come back? I don't know what I've done. Working Monday through Friday was a mistake. I feel like I'm working all the time. This is terrible. This was just one day after shadowing. I hadn't even clocked in yet. But the PA, the physician's assistant that was training me was so sweet. She called me afterwards and she could already tell that I was just very anxious and she talked me off a ledge and I did go back for my first day on Monday. And it was fine. I'm catching on pretty quick, I think. There's still so much that I have to learn and I feel so stupid. I don't know if anyone out there has, well, I'm sure you have, started a new job and just been like, what the hell? Like, even though, like, I should know this stuff, but I haven't, since I've been a nurse practitioner now for 5 years, I haven't done the fundamentals of orthopedics in 5 years because I deal with more acute, critical illnesses and we don't manage anything. Like, you either get admitted to the hospital or you go home and I don't know, we don't follow up. I don't know anything that's going on. We don't manage your chronic medications and things like that. And that's something I'm doing now. And I'm not used to seeing my own patients and kind of not having a physician behind me, which my physician's there and he's wonderful. Like he lets me ask any questions. It's just different. But I stupidly, which I always do, try to take on too much. And I'm trying to work both jobs because I really do want to keep my skills up in the ER, like suturing and things like that. And I do love emergency medicine. I want to keep those skills sharp. So I wanted to stay kind of PRN basis, which means as needed in the ER. But they recently increased the hour requirement. And with me already working Monday through Friday, that means I would have to work every weekend. And I don't know. We'll figure it out. So that's why this podcast is kind of ramble nonsense today instead of, well, Babbles nonsense, obviously. Just because the podcast comes out in 2 days and I didn't have anything. And then I've worked both jobs and then the holidays was last week. So yeah, there's my excuse and I will allow it. No, but for real, I do have some interesting topics that I want to cover coming up on the podcast that I have spoken with several people about. It's just kind of managing our schedules with the holidays and things such as that. So just a few topics off the top of my head. Being a female in my 30s and single and not having children, I get asked a lot why I'm not married or why I don't have children at least. And so I have reached out to some girls that are single, or maybe they're married in their 30s, but they don't have children, or maybe they are married and they want to have children and they've tried and they're struggling fertility wise, or they've miscarried or whatever has happened. I want to kind of talk about that because I don't feel that women talk enough about the things they experience, because if we did, maybe it wouldn't be such a stigma, I guess. And maybe people wouldn't be like, oh my God, you're 34 and you don't have children. It's fine. So that's one of the things that I really want to talk about. And me and Ivy and Lauren had pre-recorded a podcast that got messed up because of the audio that I did not check. Yeah, still not being professional. But anyways, was just about, I was interviewing them about being parents, because that was going to tie into the topic I just discussed about the women in their 30s and children and fertility issues, or if they had children and kind of what's been going on in their life, how they don't just have to be labeled as a mom. And we were going to talk about, like, I was interviewing them about being parents, and the main reason for that podcast was I was told a lie. It wasn't a bad lie by my parents that I just found out about a month ago. And it's kind of a hilarious lie. And I'm not going to talk about it now because I want to talk about it on that podcast. So it kind of dabbled into that, where I was like, well, y'all are parents. Do you lie to your children? Were you lied to? Do you parent, the same way that your parents parented you? Kind of that whole situation. And then I have a couple of friends that are in the LGBTQ community that I want to interview about their experience and how they grew up and everything that they went through, knowing that they were either bisexual or fluid or trans or things like that. So those are a couple of topics that I do have coming up. So don't worry, the podcast isn't just going to be me rambling about what's going on. I do want to have these topics discussed that are pretty high. That's not the word. Like, just very interesting topics to discuss that kind of go on in the world that people want to stay silent about, and it's kind of uncomfortable talking about, but we should just talk about it. So stay tuned for that. Don't know when that's going to happen because I'm, again, trying to coordinate schedules. But anyways, I hope everyone had a very lovely Thanksgiving. I got to see my aunt that I talk about a lot on this podcast, on how the advice she gives me. I got to see her. She flew into Nashville, so I drove up to Nashville to get her, and then came back to Huntsville to show her my house, and then went back. And then I dropped her off at my aunt's house or my cousin's house, I think, for Thanksgiving. And I was too exhausted, guys. I know that's so lame. And then I came home because, again, working 2 jobs and driving. But no, I came home, and then I got to spend Thanksgiving with my very best friend, Mal, that I went to New York with. I typically go to her family's house on Thanksgiving if I'm not working. I used to go to my Uncle Ronald's, but he has since passed, and so obviously it's not hosted there anymore. So Mal has graciously adopted me into her family Thanksgiving, and her sister's vegan, and I'm trying to get her on the podcast to talk about her experiences being vegan, especially in the South and in Huntsville where there wasn't a lot of options, but she has told me no, but I'm going to break her down. I'm going to break her down one day. But anyways, if y'all have any topics that you do want the podcast to be about, shout them out to me, because I know a lot of people that are pretty interested in doing an interview, but some have told me no because they're scared, but we'll wear them down. I think that's all I have. Sorry, this was such a short episode, and look forward to all the things that I discussed a minute ago. Until next time, guys, bye.